One job. One job. God damn it. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Bad Science Sunday, where we take a comedic approach to discrediting science information on the internet. Today, we have a special show for you tonight from Kentucky. Hit the button, please. Wait, did you? Okay. Sorry. There we go. God damn it. I'm sorry.
Whoops.
I got a little bit of a cold, so I'm out of it today.
Uh, I have a
But
little bit of normal weasel
nobody
incompetence.
talked to you.
There we
We're talking
go.
to Joe now. Joe, who are
Yeah.
you? What's the elevator pitch for the newbies? Or I don't know, for those people who have not fallen asleep yet.
So there used to be a protest at the Ark Encounter every year. At the pandemic, that kind of stopped, and the people that did that said, "Hey, if you want to do it, like we don't care to support and help and whatever, but we don't want to manage it and plan it and all that stuff." So the Tri-State Freethinkers and I
They said if
got
you want to
together.
plan it, we'll give you the money.
Yeah, well, yeah, not quite. The we got together and figured out, the logistics of it anyway. And from there, I was like, yeah, I think I could probably get on YouTube and talk about this enough. People want to do those things, especially during the summer. So, let's figure it out and make it happen. And then, other people have came on board since then. And Pangburn has specifically sponsored us with a large donation to help out, and it's it's coming along nicely. We expect to have a hell of an event. July
Okay.
6th in Williamstown, Kentucky.
July 6th. And that's a Saturday, right?
Yeah, no, that's a Sunday, the day
Oh,
of
that's
the
a Sunday.
protest.
Oh,
Got to
it's
do
not a
this sort of
Sunday.
thing on a Sunday,
What is it?
right? Like, I mean, it's
Well,
the holy
they,
day.
they they open at 1 on Sunday, and so it kind of
So
the
you'll be
time.
there to greet everyone.
Yeah. That's we'll be there at like 11. So we've got a number of people speaking. So we'll be there at like 11, starting that stuff, and then we'll do the thing, and then there'll be more people speaking. So it'll take about half a day.
Okay.
Sun in Kentucky in July.
But you have something going on all weekend, though, right?
Yeah. We're gonna do all kinds of other stuff too. There's we're gonna get together and go out and do some things with some of the creators, and there'll be a party at one point after, on the day of the protest, after, for a few hours. Not like a big crazy party, but like a hangout with everybody type party. So yeah, there's there's a couple of other things we're kind of back and forth about and haven't decided for sure yet, but they'll be
Okay.
known within a couple days.
So according to your poster, Chris Mallard's going to be the MC. You're going to have Mandisa Thomas, Mark Alsop, Godless Engineer, Secular Rarity, Vice Rhino, The Skeptic, Iron Ra, um, and a bunch of other people. Like, that's
Well, Vice
pretty.
Toronto is going to be a no for now.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah. American Canadian relations are not at their best. If you didn't,
Fair
if you
enough.
had,
I'm very glad that I have no Canadian friends.
yeah.
Well, I have a couple of emotional support Canadians, so we.
I just said that so I could clip it and send it to Al Trucker later.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm a bad person.
It's what I tell all my friends. All right. Oh God, what was I thinking? But you do have your own channel, correct, Joe?
Do I? Oh, yeah.
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 I heard that on your own channel, you're going to be doing a fundraiser next weekend.
Yeah. We're gonna do a fundraiser next weekend. What she said, and uh, we're gonna have some of the speakers there at the fundraiser and stuff, and just just to kind of announce it or whatever. It's not a super fancy thing, but there'll be a few people there, talk for a few minutes about why they think it's important that we do this and that kind of thing. And
Well, why do you think it's important that we do this?
I think that the mass indoctrination of children about unsupported and unfounded and magical thinking ideas is probably a bad thing. If we hope to, continue to progress on any number of levels, including apparently we need some civilization adjustments.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just a little bit. And you know what? I forgot to do the thing again, which means that Joe probably won't hear this, and then we'll have to go through the whole thing of the yada yada. Well, and while me and Joe are working that out, Tap, can you let everybody know what we have for them today?
I can indeed. So, this is an infuriating one, okay? And I don't actually say that every single show. So
You're
today,
welcome.
the video that you're a bad friend, Maya.
Joe
A bad
told
one.
me that he wanted something crazy.
Joe's also a bad friend. Anyway, the title of the video is 7 Scientific Reasons Why Darwinian Evolution is a Myth by our colleagues on Earth over at Radio Immaculata. And they have a cool almost 24,000 subscribers, and this video has done fairly well with over 200,000 views from last year about this time. So yeah, this one
yeah.
though. I will say, I do appreciate what's going on with this guy's robe thing.
Wait, what's evolution?
It's
so
this
evolution,
thing that this guy named Darwin invented out of thin air because he had a lot of faith in it.
and all scientists now believe it because that's our religion.
Oh, that.
Yeah. Oh.
Qualify evolution as
Whoops, sorry.
Whoa, music.
Yeah.
evolution.
Yeah.
I want to understand if we can
Why are you
actually
doing-
qualify evolution
You
as
can't play
scientific
the music
theory.
at the beginning because we don't know. I don't know.
Maya,
They're
I can
really
either
crazy.
go, I can go in 5-second steps, or I can press and estimate, and that takes longer to do. But then I
Okay,
skip
yeah,
the
no,
intro
pressing.
bit.
Okay, pressing and estimating is way better than potentially having a channel strike. Just FYI. And since it's not your
Obviously,
channel, I'm
speaking
going to
about
have to call rank on this one. No music.
Okay, but now we haven't heard the fit. Okay.
Revolution. Can this be qualified as a
Not
scientific
worth
theory?
listening to.
Well, we can take Darwin's words himself to answer that question. Darwin himself said that his ideas on evolution are entirely based and totally depends on Elias' geological speculations, which have since been disproved by cutting-edge sedimentology. In a letter,
The entire video is like this.
Yeah, where he just takes parts of what he says and not the
Well,
rest.
and then lies about it being disproven. He lies about all of the geological predictions of evolutionary theory being disproven by modern cutting-edge sedimentology. It's categorically untrue.
So I always tell people anytime a creationist gives you a source to go check, because from my experience, 100% of the time, they are either not what they say they are, or it's quote mined, or it doesn't
Yeah,
exist.
I still have yet to hear a creationist give an actual source outside of this person said, which I want to be clear, is not a source. If I said, Darwin said, like, no, I need, it needs to be what book or what paper or what, whatever. Where can if it's a book, what page is it on? If it's a paper, like I need, I need the title. I need to know, like, what year, like it. This is insane. Oh, we lost Joe.
I
Oh
didn't do
no,
it.
I totally blame you though. Why do I
Yeah,
totally
fair.
blame you?
with regards to whether it's true science or not, his theory, in a letter to Asa Gray, he wrote, quote, "I am quite conscious that my speculations run beyond the bounds of true science. It is a mere rag of an hypothesis with as many flaws and holes as sound parts." Close.
I'm not gonna lie, I've never heard that quote before.
And that's really great because he didn't give us a source. I want to be
No,
very
and
clear about that. He just said
if
that some guy said it once. There's no
well,
way to
that
figure out.
Darwin said it once
Yeah.
specifically. And the thing is, I feel I could be wrong, but I feel like if Darwin actually wrote that in a letter to somebody, I would have heard it quote mined by other people before, right?
No, fair. But let's just say you hadn't. Let's just say
Yeah.
you're like me and you don't keep up with this shit. Am I just supposed to Google it so that I can find the source? Like, how do I find a source? This is so stupid.
That probably would work, to be fair. But you've been
Sure.
watching Dapper Dino for longer than I have. So when you say you don't keep up with it, like, you keep up with people who do, though. So, there's that.
I mean, kind of. But like I don't like
So that's a good place to start. Just Google the things that he said, and start there, and it'll
Okay.
tell you where those words came from most likely at some point. I mean, if you care enough to look into it. And I just tell people that with creationists, if you want to know if they're telling you the truth, you should, because they're not usually.
yeah, I'm not saying it's a bad
Yeah.
thing to do. I'm just saying I shouldn't have to do
Yeah.
that to verify a source. That's my only point. I'm
It-
not
it's
saying don't Google stuff. I'm absolutely not saying
Yeah.
don't do that. You have to be careful how you phrase stuff in Google. It's not a lot of the flat earthers go to Google to verify their sources too. But if you're going to present yourself as a person of authority, you should at least be able to cite your sources correctly. Or maybe put your, I follow a lot of doctors, and they'll just put their sources in the box below. They don't do that either.
To
It's
be
just,
fair,
Darwin said it.
I will say that I have never done that.
Have you
Right.
ever posted a video?
No. Yeah, good.
Hmm.
You see, I'm so wise.
Quotes.
At least he's honest.
Now, the speculative nature of evolution, so obviously there's been about 150 to 200 years of time since Darwin published The Origins of the Species. And so we can also hear what others have had to say. And the fact of the matter is that there are, despite the very prevalent and dogmatic support that theory of evolution commands today amongst the scientific community, there are a leading and growing number of honest scientists that, following 150 years of fruitless searches for evidence that would support the theory, has spoken
Wow.
about.
I mean,
Like
Wow.
I was mouthing that the same time you said it. I'm like, holy shit.
right? Okay, the
Yeah.
part the first part where I'm like, did you really just was when he used the word leading, and then even he was like, and growing, and no, it is not the the creationist view is non-existent in secular scholarship. It's non-existent.
Yeah.
Completely.
He also just like he tried as hard as he could to make evolution just characterize it badly, like a poison in the well type deal. It was like, let me shit all over this thing first, and then we'll talk about what it isn't.
Yeah.
He's yes.
Yeah. Let's talk about all the things that evolution isn't. That's kind of their whole thing.
Yeah, and just I mean, but also it like it's just this guy pisses me off so much because he's lying in every sentence, and I don't normally use that word, but it's just so blatant. You have to intentionally misread what's out there. You have to intentionally cherry pick and sculpt it. And enough of what he is saying is like original ish. Like that one quote that he gave earlier. I don't remember hearing that quote before. Maybe it's out there, but he's not just literally copying pasting directly from one other person. He's doing that and then putting his own dishonest spin on things.
All right, he had lots of adjectives he wanted to add in that were unnecessary to explain the thing he was talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About the Darwin's theory. We have Dr. Ernst Chain, Nobel Prize-winning biochemistry, who helped develop penicillin in 1972. He called the theory of evolution, quote, a very feeble attempt to understand the development of life, close quote. In another...
Good for him, if that's true. Like...
Yeah.
Statement he made.
It's doing a lot of work in that sentence.
If and for like it doesn't matter. I would expect the person who won a Nobel Prize for penicillin to not say something like that, which is why I have no confidence that it's true. But if they did, it doesn't matter.
Have you seen genetics? Genetics is a thing. Did we forget about genetics?
Yeah, penicillin
DNA
was
is small,
discovered.
but we should remember them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Penicillin was discovered way before the 70s. I mean, he probably won the prize
Right.
in the 70s. That's fair.
In his case, he wants to explain what people thought about it, back years ago before we made lots and lots more discoveries, and more of our predictions turned out to be true, right?
Yeah. The mechanism of inheritance.
Say this.
The mechanism of inheritance that Darwin propounded is like not even something I really know the details of, because he did have a model that had something to do with something and like hormones going to the gonads or something. I don't know, but he didn't have a genetic theory in the way that with the discovery of DNA became like much more clear. Like you had Mendelian stuff, but that's more about inheritance. It doesn't necessarily imply a unique mechanism. You had to wait until you actually understood and were able to look at DNA before all of that came together. And the genetic evidence for evolution is
overwhelming,
extremely conclusive.
Yeah.
Oh, before we start, I do want to, I can't find it, but I do want to thank AR for being a member for 14 months. AR, please continue to enjoy your tappies, the weasels, your nitties, and vaginas.
he said, quote, I would rather believe in fairies than in such wild speculation as Darwinian evolution, close quote. We have Louise Bonoret.
I
What?
mean, he was continuing the quote. I guess when I
Oh,
paused it, I
okay.
cut off the second half of the quote.
A
Yeah,
Okay.
professor of
sorry.
geology at the University of Strasbourg, say, quote, evolutionism is a fairy tale for grown-ups. This theory has helped nothing in the progress of science. It is useless, close quote.
That's
Well, there you go, folks.
wow. I'm probably going to say this multiple times tonight. I'm an atomic physicist. I have a PhD in atomic physics. It is my day job. Evolution is more concretely established than atomic theory.
I've heard it said. I've never personally studied either, but I hear you. Also, both way more studied than anything coming out of his mouth.
I mean,
For $2, a sinister porpoise says, Weasel, magnet, 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 heart. Great
I'm gonna
stream
ban
earlier.
you.
Great stream earlier, Porpoise. If you're not sub to Porpoise, what is her channel? We gotta have Porpoise back on. I have been told by a lot of the things making my feed that AI is still the mark of the beast. So
I have the best takes on AI. Porpoise loves all of my takes on AI
yeah,
and how it's
yes.
definitely a thinking, feeling entity
Mhm.
that is capable of truly original, unique thought.
You know what's been coming up lately? Like there was something where they did like some kind of ultrasound under the pyramids, and so
Oh
everybody's
my god, I
decided.
did see that.
Yeah, everybody on TikTok and
Milo's lost
my
his mind.
Milo. I saw that he did a thing on it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that came out earlier today. You guys should watch that. I didn't get to like.
I
I
watched the
started to
short.
watch
I haven't
it.
watched his long video
Yeah, I
yet
haven't seen
because I
the.
think
It's like 40
yeah.
minutes. I didn't have time to watch
I
all of
haven't
it.
watched that yet, but
But it's got to be great because it has been insane for 2 weeks and counting. Has like said there is in fact a secret city under the pyramids, and scientists found it. And I'm like, I feel like this would have made my news feed.
yeah, I mean, you have an extremely problematic news feed, so I would think that too.
Yeah, like not one of them thought to report on the reptilian city under the Sphinx. Oh God.
I'll have an Egyptologist on tomorrow to talk about that.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because I've been
Burying the lead. What?
Joe's
Just
like,
thought I'd
what? I have a channel.
Do you have a link for it?
Right?
Is it?
I will watch that at work.
We'll put it in the chat right now.
Seriously, that's insane. I'm derailing the stream, not as much as Kip Dapper and Vishanti have this weekend, but my derailment of the stream actually led in directly into our guest. He's over here. Actual thing that's happening tomorrow. Joe, you have a channel. Like,
Yeah, the Kentucky Atheist. You can find me as the Kentucky Atheist about everywhere, but I'll be talking with a couple friends of the channel and Deviant Outcast, who does in fact have a degree in Egyptology, so, or whatever the specific study is. Hell, I don't know. That's
she has a degree in reptilian cityology.
yeah, probably.
Awesome. Can't wait.
Ancient aliens. That's
And
it.
we have Albert Fleischmann, German professor of geology, say, quote, the Darwinian theory of descent has not a single fact to confirm it in the realm of nature. It is not the result of scientific research, but purely the product of imagination, close quote. Obviously, we don't want to appeal to authority.
You don't?
No.
In our discussion, but I think it's important to give a perspective on the words that Darwin himself used, but also on the words of other scientists.
I'm sorry. To me, that seems an awful lot like potentially appropriate appeals to authority. Appeal to expertise and appeal to authority are different. What he's been doing actually is not been appeal to expertise, because he's not been, I mean,
I believe this is his government name.
unbiblical.
He said there are no facts that demonstrate evolution.
None.
None
Zero
at
facts.
all. Yeah.
There are whole branches of science built that evolution is the cornerstone of those sciences.
Like
And-
that Sid
Yeah.
Gibbon, who studies
And-
primatology, which is a
Yeah.
subset of evolution.
They all work
Yes.
together to form a cohesive model.
I mean,
Like
you can't walk 2 feet in the field of biology without running into evolutionary theory. Like
Yeah.
it's everywhere. It's like trying to say that math isn't necessary to do physics. Almost. That's slightly a different category, but like in terms of how deeply ingrained it is, it's true. Like it's just it's the threads that hold it all together.
Joshua G has gifted us 5 cult members, which is awesome. Those went to Austin Sims, Flavius Josephus, the first century Jewish historian, Tilting Windmill, KCA Randy, Bench Thinker. Holy shit, that's some good aim.
Well done.
News cult members, please enjoy your tappy of the weasels, your nitties, and vaginas.
Eminent scientists
Sure.
that have taken a dispassionate view on the topic.
And I think this is something that's so crucial to cover, because basically, I mean, it's quite shocking, to be honest, because in most schools today, in this country, and even in, I mean, we have a brother here from India who was saying that in his education, in his biology textbooks, evolution was all over, was everywhere. So
You don't say.
I bet that he quotes page 34 of Origin of Species. I bet that's what's coming up.
Is that the
What do you
I
want to bet?
argument?
What do you want to bet? That's what he says next.
No, that's not the I argument. The I argument was chapter 6, which I doubt is page 34.
The
Basically,
I
it's been
argument.
proclaimed as a
Wait, whoa, hey, I'm an idiot. What's the I argument?
The I argument is where he says it may seem absurd to think that the I could arise by slow, gradual changes.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
and then in the not the next sentence, I think it's the sentence after the next one, he says, but reason tells me that blah 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 blah, and then he lays out over the next like few paragraphs how the eye could form, and he basically nails one way that eyes evolve.
Yeah.
There's a cup, and it sort of folds in, and it becomes a little pinhole camera. Not all eyes do the same thing. Eyesight has evolved like dozens of times, though.
Yeah,
So-
I know. Animals love evolving eyes. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
It-
I'm sorry, Joe.
It's the basis of the irreducible complexity argument that
Yeah,
creation apologetics uses.
Ah.
but it's remarkable because it's probably the most obvious body part, like to bring up, because it's visible, it's right there, it's extremely important, it's very specialized, and yet Darwin articulated exactly the counter argument in the book that he proposed this entire theory in. Like it's yeah. Darwin was very good at scientific communication. He would articulate the arguments against his point of view and then articulate his arguments in favor of his point of view in an extremely compelling way.
Interesting. I still haven't read anything Darwin's
I
written, but creationists love telling me how to interpret all the things that Darwin's written. Also, Jester for $2 says something that I don't know how to interpret. Video of Vandy playing with the magnet. Is that how? I don't. Joe, you wanna?
What do I need to do?
I don't know. Is that what you? How you like? I don't know. Is that how you see it? I don't know.
I feel like it was.
Video of
Oh
Vandy
my god.
Weasel playing with a magnet.
Do we have to keep talking about magnets? It's physically painful.
Mm.
Okay, magnets
Oh
are
well, I mean,
satanic
since you
evil
put it
entities.
that way, then yes.
I didn't know we were having that kind of fun tonight. Shit.
Oh, you want to know what kind of magnet fun we're having? Go to the next super chat.
No, I'm not there yet.
Okay, fine, but if it
We're gonna
involves-
prolong it. Ha.
God,
We have
my
a number
face
of
is
memberships
drenched.
to
It's proclaimed as a
recognize
fact, and
before
the
we
thing
get
that's
to
quite shocking is
Corvus.
that evolution was all over, was everywhere.
Sorry.
So basically, it's been
It's proclaimed as a fact.
It's proclaimed as a fact, and the thing that's quite shocking is that, I mean, as these scientists have just said, there's not a single fact which backs it up. So obviously there's something quite strange going on behind the scenes here. Anyway, so the question I have for you now is regarding Darwin's theory. What are the biggest problems that you see in his theory?
I want, like, he's moving on to relevant stuff, but he did say there is not a single fact.
Okay.
That's
I
what he
mean-
said. There are none.
I mean, you could spin that to where he's not wrong.
No, you can't.
But there are multiple facts.
He said there are none.
I don't think that's how set theory works.
Theory.
There are so many problems. I will highlight just a few, but we could have lots of talks about this. The whole thing is, as intimated by some of the early quotes, is full of flaws. But the fundamental issues with it are, I'll just list them quickly. First of all, evolution is not observed and is not
I'm with Daryl on this one.
Wow.
happening today. It has not been observed in the past. It presupposes but cannot account for the origin of life. I'm talking primarily biological evolution here.
That's the one thing they say that's like kind of vaguely technically correct, but it's not
Except for
it's
it's
not
the
a
wrong
bug. Exactly. It's a different topic. It's like saying chemistry can't account for the origin of chemicals. Like, okay. Like, I mean, elements, origin of elements, not chemicals. It can totally do that, but but it's not like. What's your point?
Yeah, they have to misrepresent what, like, the definitions of basic terms in order to do this. It's
Yeah.
And it's not like this is the first time this guy has said these words. People have told him he was wrong about a number of things before.
Oh, and he just keeps spouting his bullshit like nobody's ever said anything to him.
Yeah.
That's not sus. Oh, yeah, this is the one I wanted. So Robin Webster has been a cult member for 14 months. Thank you, Robin. Please continue to enjoy your tapioca weasels, your nitties, and vaginas.
It violates an important physical law, the second law of thermodynamics. Its proposed mechanism of
Why are you like this? No, it fucking doesn't. Evolution does not violate any laws of thermodynamics or physics or natural science as we know it. It simply
How would that even
doesn't.
work?
Because they think that thermodynamics, the second law of thermodynamics, means that things always become more disordered, blah, blah, blah. That's
What?
not a good way of
Why
putting
would they
it.
think that?
Because the second law of thermodynamics states that the entropy of a closed system always increases. Entropy is often associated, I think...
Doesn't a young Earth violate the laws of thermodynamics more than evolution? Or... I guess since evolution doesn't at all.
It's still true, right? If like 5 is a number that is much more greater than 0 than negative 18 is, even though, negative 18 isn't greater than 0 at all. So it's still true. Sorry, that was really dumb.
No, I worded it really badly. I just meant
And then
to
I
say
worded it
that
worse.
it would appear to me that a young Earth violates the laws of thermodynamics, but
It does. I mean, it
true.
does.
Really
It
girl brain
violates
here.
laws of thermodynamics that are like even more obviously not violated. It just violates the first and second and third and 0th laws.
Yeah.
Like all of them, okay? The first law of thermodynamics is a statement about energy conservation. It's like the heat plus the work you do on a system equals, the change in energy of the system. Like, that's less controversial than the second law. The second law is a more sort of subtle thing. None of them violate it, okay? One, entropy and complexity or disorder. Sometimes that can be a decent analogy. I never use it because it's way more confusing than it is helpful.
Well,
Isn't
in a second law of
evolution just the
thermodynamics,
change of alleles over time?
yes.
I don't understand how that violates laws. It's like you just keep giving birth, and you know how
Well-
you and your child are different? Extrapolate that. No laws violated.
Yeah, but things
just-
become more complex.
yeah,
Yeah.
And things can't become more
and
complex,
how?
Maya.
Oh, because that would violate things fucking for long periods of time violates thermodynamics.
So sometimes the less
Okay.
informed will say it's chaos theory stuff that
Oh my god,
everything's
that's
moving
even
to a
worse.
state of chaos, right? And that evolution is contrary to that, but it's actually through what they're actually talking about is the second law of thermodynamics, and
calling it
actually
chaos
what we
theory?
would expect to see.
That's so painful.
Wait,
That's
they're
so
talking
painful to
about the
hear.
second law of thermodynamics and they're calling it chaos theory. Is that what you
That's
just said?
not.
They do
Yes.
that sometimes, yeah.
Oh, that's fine.
Again, words have really loose definitions when with this bunch, and so you'll hear them use those words sometimes. But
Oh, yeah. And
chaos
Dr.
theory is
Kip,
actually something different.
Dr. Kip just reminded me that evolution violates biblical law, which is true.
Okay, well, yeah, that's true. It is very unbiblical.
But Spooky Bed Hair has been a cult member for 10 months. 10. Spooky, we've been here forever. 10. Oh, you need to step it up. But it does feel like 14, only because Spooky is like one of our Spooky was actually here from my very first stream before we even conceived the concept of a Bad Science Sunday. There was a Spooky Bed here, and we appreciate you. So
I mean, to
please,
be fair, sorry.
Spooky's
go ahead.
unbannable.
By the way,
Stop it.
my-
Get it out of your mind. Spooky, continue to enjoy those tapioca weasels, those nitties, and the vaginas.
I was just gonna say that we had been doing this show for like 3 months before we called it that. So to be fair, I was doing Bad Science Sunday before I knew what Bad Science Sunday was.
It's okay.
Of natural selection and mutation has been shown conclusively not to work. It fails to account for the irreducible complexity that we observe in biological systems. It fails to account for the origin of specified information in the biological systems, primarily the genetic code. And
Define information, my guy.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can find any word he uses, honestly.
Yeah, probably not. Not correctly.
it
An
fails because it
intelligent
violates
being.
many
Sorry, an intelligent being had to have done it. That's
Yeah.
his. It's stupid. It's a stupid thing to say. He just
First
throws it out there like just here. Sorry, go ahead. I'll quit.
For
can't-
$2,
I'm
the
drowning over
Sinister
here.
Purpose says magnet super chats equal Bukkake mention vengeance. Bukkake. Thank you, Porpoise.
I'm drowning here, Maya. Because of all the bukkake.
Principles in philosophy, which actually renders the very concept of evolution metaphysically impossible and hence irrational. That's just a summary of the problem.
That was such a Gish Gallop. I mean, the second law, like, alone is a topic you could talk a long time about. I mean, like, you would point out, as I have, that the second law says that the entropy of a closed system increases, always increases or stays the same, I suppose. And then point out that no, Earth is not a closed system. And then you're done. You're done. You are in fact done.
Well, I mean, but Tab, how are you supposed to get money from grifting if you do that?
Join the Discovery Institute.
Left-handed Jedi.
That's a good answer.
Right. Left-handed Jedi for $2 says, "Don't forget about Return of the Dire Wolf." Oh God, I'm not able to talk about how stupid that is. Bree's not here. What the hell? But actually, Grayson did a really good and was short video on how stupid the whole dire wolf thing is.
Oh, dire wolves.
Problems,
agree
but
with
it's
More extensive. Yeah.
More extensive.
I'd just like to ask a quick, because I mean, obviously, you're speaking to someone here who's very, very bad at science. I mean,
You don't say.
yes. So biology is probably my worst subject. So could you please expand on some of the things you said? Because to a lot of it, it's like you're speaking a different language.
Yes, I mean, the purpose of these points that I'm making is really to encourage people to do their own research and to be
for
with an
fuck's
open mind.
sake. But
I don't like that. I never tell people to do their own
do
research.
not, yeah, don't. We guys, okay. I haven't seen it in a while, but like, if this is something you do, stop it. People do not know how to, like, it's like that meme. Do my own research equals I watched someone else's shitty YouTube video, and that's all
Yeah.
they do. They go to the mommy blogs, they go to that side of YouTube, and then they take things that resonate with them as if it is true. And we've got to. You got to spoon feed people. Some horses just need to be led to water. This is a proper source. This is an improper source.
If you're going to do your own research on that, you should do your own research on what sort of essential oils are the best thing to put in your gas tank. Like,
yeah, you can't.
You don't do that.
People, we need to stop allowing idiots to just like be alone with their, like, to fend with their, to themselves, or they are bad at it. That's actually what got them to their shitty idea, was being left alone with their thoughts. So you've got to leave them with your thoughts, the good ones. And
Let me point out too. They're now saying do your own research after spending like a few minutes talking about how awful evolution is and that it's all these terrible things. And then they say, "Oh, you should definitely look it up for yourself," because they know, again, that's why they did all that, because then people wouldn't.
You know where I do my own research?
do you look at a bad YouTube video of a guy calling himself a doctor and saying, "Hey, I like what he's saying. This must be true"?
No, I spend a lot of time looking at textbooks and thinking carefully and doing careful measurements in the laboratory that I work at. Like, I do research.
You produce research.
Yes. And it's small, it's incremental. I don't claim no vast swaths of fields like that. The arrogance of these people. And
Yeah.
I don't say that because they don't have a degree and I do. I say that because they don't appreciate the depth of the subject they are talking about. Any subject out there, almost, you can fall in a hole and it gets deeper and more complex and richer. That's definitely true of evolutionary biology. Okay?
Yeah, and I want to remind people, he's not saying he's not just like throwing his credentials out there and like, you should listen to me because I am a doctor. What he's saying is he goes out there and he does the work. He looks at it for himself. He sees the things. Um, and while that's not entirely possible for all of us, especially right now,
Yeah.
since everything is becoming defunded, um, you can read about what people who actually did the work do. That's still a thing that's moderately available to you. You can you can actually go to your community college or call it, or to college, an
Yeah.
actual college. Call it, ask a doctor, like, hey, I have some questions about this.
Amazing.
They will talk to you.
Yes.
Well,
And they'll follow up. They if you say something that's off base, they'll be like, oh, it's more like this or something like that. Like
the beautiful thing about science is that they publish their work for others to look at, and you actually can repeat many of the things, given circumstances. Sure, there's not every experiment is realistic to do in your home, but many of them you can, and
Yeah.
many things you can look up from the actual pictures of artifacts that support the things that they're saying.
Yeah.
There's tangible, real evidence that strongly supports evolution. So it's there's it, and it goes through several other branches of science as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And especially right now with the state of science, I think they'll probably be more open to speaking with you than they
Yeah.
previously had been.
Scientists love talking about what we do. I mean,
Now, if
I
you challenge them, like, Roger, I suppose I'm just from Roger's own words, sounds like he has been challenging them and telling them that they're wrong about the things that they've been doing, even though he has not himself done them and doesn't know anything about the field. They may stop talking to you. But if you're
yeah.
honestly just trying to get an understanding of a subject, I've seen so many YouTubers um, even just schedule a time that they can talk with people, and they'll say, hey, or actually, I think the most recent one I watched was with Professor Dave, and he was just had it up to here with Sabine Hoste. How do you pronounce her last name?
Austin Felder.
Yes, Sabina. And so he went to people in the field and said, hey, talk to me about this. And
Yeah.
they were happy to. And it was like 3 or 4 people in her field, in the field that she was disparaging. And, they're like, no,
Yeah.
it exactly what Dr. Tapp was saying. And it was like, no, it's more like this. So, I mean, science isn't something that you have to wonder about. It isn't something that you have to hear interpreted to you from your pastor. You can actually go and talk to a scientist. They are really they are
Yeah.
looking for ways to impart their knowledge onto the general public, so that you stop voting against them.
If you have a question about quantum mechanics, I am chronically on Discord. And not as much as Maya is, because
Or put your
nobody is.
question. If you put your question in the what do you call the box now? The
Comments, the
comment
chat.
section. Oh, that too. Yeah.
Oh, you
The
gotta.
comment section. If you put your comment in the comment section, I will see it, and then I'll shoot it at him and laugh.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he will. He's really good at responding, actually. And if you need it translated into French,
Yeah.
we've got a guy for that.
Yeah.
But also, Left-Handed Jedi has gifted us 5 more cult members. Thank you. And those went to B.S. Lewis, Nicole, Two Guys Talking History, friend of the show, Matt, Blaster Master, and B.S. Lewis is friend of the show. I forgot about that since B.S. Lewis blew us off and has never been back since. Hint, hint. But also Christian Alexander. That's some good aim, Left-Handed Jedi. Thank you so much. And to the 5 News cult members, thank you. Please continue to enjoy your tappy weasels, your nitties, and vaginas.
Mind It's all available. It's all out there. It's not spoken about in textbooks, but with an open mind and some research, all these can be found. And I think it's important for people to also form their own opinion about this.
Sure.
But I will just go through some of these points in a bit more detail. So the first point was that Darwinian evolution is not observed and is not happening today.
False.
You're full of shit. That's my opinion.
As the counterexample, I would just like to bring up the things that he is going to cite. The things that he is going to cite in favor of his arguments are exactly the things that disprove his arguments. A classic Trojan source.
So whenever experiments have been tried to reproduce or simulate the evolutionary process in the laboratory, they've always failed to produce any new species.
Mm-hmm.
I give a quick example. E. coli is a form of bacterium. Very, very simple organism.
It's one that we did.
Yeah, the Lenski long-term evolution experiment. The most famous experiment, which is still going. It's now because he started it in like the 70s. He's now transferred all of the cultures and everything to a former postdoc of his because he's retiring. But it's continuing to go. It's many thousands of generations, and these things have developed a whole lot of mutations. Some of them can now metabolize citrate, which is a defining feature of E. coli, that it can't do the thing that now some of them can. So is that not a new species? Like, you can quibble, but like it.
Words have meanings.
Yeah.
I mean, they should.
Right. They have actual meanings. Let's just say it that way. Yes.
That reproduces every 20 minutes. Because they reproduce every 20 minutes, they've analyzed it over a period of decades now. So you can recreate in the lab, you can speed up evolution, which is, according to the evolutionary theory, can take over hundreds of millions of years, and kind of recreate.
Oh my God. Dude, evolution is the change, as Maya mentioned earlier, evolution is a change in allele frequency over time in populations. Like
that's why they use this floating definition, though, is so he can, this isn't evolution either, even though it depends on what definition you're using, and he never gives his.
Created by looking at these organisms that reproduce.
You're right. I don't know that he does. I will say that I'm pretty confident he would agree with this definition. It's a kind giving rise to another kind.
Kinds always give rise to kinds of the same kind sometimes, if you kind of think that.
Kind of.
Very quickly, generation after generation, you can recreate it in the lab. And the bottom line is that, notwithstanding decades of these small bacteria called Escherichia coli reproducing under very favorable conditions every 20 minutes, lots of generation, recreating effectively the process of evolution, they still are bacteria. You said they haven't been.
They're still bacteria.
Also, I have a question about the experiment. If they're reproducing faster than usual because you've given them overly favorable conditions to reproduce in, you're not providing any outside environmental pressures to cause natural selection to occur.
Exactly. Like you're just that's entirely like reinforcement. And it's not true. Like, that's not what they do. They do provide the pressures. So like again, like literally, if you take any three sentences they say, most of it is going to be factually wrong, and the remainder is going to be wrong by implication. It might not be literally wrong, but it will be if you add the fourth sentence. So,
become sponges and cats or frogs and so on.
He wants the E. coli to become cats and frogs, I think. Did he say cats and dogs or cats and frogs? It doesn't matter, okay? He wants them to become vertebrates. Which, for the record, are in an entirely different kingdom of life. That is not how that works. That's not how any of this works.
Indeed.
But also, if E. coli was the clade that cats and dogs came from, if millions of years later we had things we called cats and dogs, they would still also be E. coli. So it would still be fundamentally wrong anyway.
You are correct. We are still eukaryotes.
Yeah.
You know what's not a eukaryote? Bacteria. Whole different thing.
Yeah.
Whole different domain, actually. That's not even just a different kingdom. That's a different domain, I think.
Yeah. It's like a whole different tree of life.
Yeah.
They've done a lot of work has been done by a scientist called Lenski on this topic. Fruit flies, they've been irradiated with UV.
Did he do fruit flies? Lenski is the guy who did E. coli. Maybe Lenski's also done fruit flies. I actually don't know. I could believe it because fruit flies are attractive for exactly the same reason. They have very short generational times, so you can get a lot of generations and study things in a much more complex organism than bacteria.
Yeah.
But they don't reproduce that fast because they're fruit flies. They're thousands of times larger than bacteria. So, yeah.
Light to try and get mutations to change their form, and all that happens is that they just get deformed and die. They do not evolve.
Mm-hmm.
And we have simulations.
Just factually wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I did that experiment myself, so I know that he is just wrong. You can actually create different fruit flies. So he's just wrong.
Yeah. But they're all negative mutations, and those don't count.
No, they're not. You could actually introduce your own pressures to make them evolve in whatever way you wanted, I suppose.
Can you evolve fruit flies to go and collect cash out in the world and bring it back to you?
Given enough time, maybe.
Like cash money. Because you can't do that with crows. And apparently they turn into fucking thieves.
IT world. I mean, so the idea was if any scientific theory, empirical.
As the universe thermodynamically evolves, threads of complexity emerge out of the structure, build. Yeah. Yeah, but, I mean, did you ever give birth to a pine cone, Leo?
Oh, no.
Exactly. There we go. Unbiblical.
Scientific theory, in the modern sense of the word, should be able to be recreated through simulation. For example, in the cosmological field or the physical sciences, this is a very common thing. But
oh yeah, that's easy. We should be able to recreate the entire evolution of the universe in simulation. It's literally the biggest thing you can choose to simulate.
Yeah.
Do you think that's gonna work all the way down?
Does he accept the game of life that was a simulation of evolution done before he said this? I'm sure.
I mean, he probably thinks that people think that life is a.
I mean, if that's his standard, there's one of those for evolution, just not for the creation of the whole universe now, because he moved the goalposts.
Well, also, I mean, they always move the goalposts.
Right.
And you can't simulate
a
thing, like, you can't really simulate a thing more complex than the thing you're using to simulate it on some level. That's maybe too simplistic of a way to put that, but, like, if you need 20 bits of information to describe a system, you're going to need to have a computer that can provide 20 bits of information. You're going to need a lot more than 20 bits of information to describe, the evolution of the entire damn universe.
Yeah.
So, there's that.
There is that. But for $2, the
Sorry.
Sinister Porpoise says information is processed data in informatics. Thank you
That
so
sounds circular.
Thank you, Porpoise. But your Victoria wants to remind us that information and change in kinds over time.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, and AR would like to remind us.
Oh, come on. More bukkake? Come on. Why is my life always bukkake?
It has never been able to be successfully recreated through simulations in computer science and IT. And the only way to make it work is if you
Google evolutionary simulation, there's a great channel. I can't remember the name, but I'd probably remember it if somebody like put it in the chat. You can do this. It's actually an extremely useful way of analyzing basic evolutionary assumptions because
What
you
am
can get a
I?
lot of insight.
Evolution.
Evolution simulation.
Okay. I'm sorry. I cut you off.
Evolution simulation, and
I don't know why you would even say that you couldn't, because
It's an evolution
Primer.
simulator.
The channel that I'm thinking of is Primer,
Okay. Oh, there's an evolution simulator. That's interesting.
I mean,
right?
a simulation is you taking the mechanisms that explain a thing and putting those to a program, which is what a program needs. Is you tell it what mechanism to carry out for you. That's not a great definition, but so why would he think that you couldn't have things that change over time in a simulation? That's just stupid to say. It would be
That is
really
so
easy to fake.
cool. Oh, okay, you did put it in there. Like, this is cool.
The Primer thing, that channel
Yeah.
is great. It's amazing. It's adorable. He uses little blobs.
Hey, can
and-
we kind of derail the stream for a second?
Yeah.
Can you put that? Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
While
can do
you're
it.
while you're doing that, I will. Jester for $5 said, "Remember that we care about magnets, and that Vandy's reparation payments go through like a positive pole meeting at a negative."
meeting a negative pole.
Oh, gotcha.
I'm okay. So
Thank you, Jester. All
I'm
right,
gonna
we'll do.
I'm gonna call the police.
You know what, Jester? I appreciate you.
So this is a great channel. Attempting to communicate the deep ideas of academic subjects. So what this guy does is he models basic evolutionary sort of things, and he adds a little bit more each time. And it's all quantitative. It's it's small. He talks about the math and everything like behind it. It is a great channel, and it does like this one's about the evolution of aging, like because it's complicated. When you add different things to the assumption, it all changes. So this is a great channel
Okay,
that I
cool.
highly recommend.
And actually, little bit of community lore here. Ember conjured God out of thin air, and God would like us to know that he does not claim these idiots. Thank you, God.
Thank you, God.
Thank you, God. Yeah. Oh God. My can we just watch Primer videos?
That's a
introduce
different
ad
stream.
hoc interventions, meaning
Do you
that
want
you
to
have to
watch
kind of
one
fix
Primer
the.
video? Or is there like a do they have what
I
do
don't
you
know
call
if there's
it?
anything short and
Do they have shorts? Yeah, that's
they-
what I
they
mean.
don't-
I don't think
Oh.
anybody will be disappointed if we don't listen to
They
this
have
man.
one short. Hold on, they have one
Hey,
short.
yeah, let's do the one short. All right.
These blobs compete for food by playing rock, paper, scissors. All right, let's put 80 of these trees into a world and start the population with 1/3 of each strategy. Before we hit go, what do you think will happen to the population over time? Will it tend to stay balanced? Or maybe one of the strategies will take over. Or perhaps the population will cycle through rock, paper, and scissors, taking turns dominating. Or maybe something else. All right, turns
Oh,
out
no.
scissors took over. That
Yeah.
does seem a bit weird since it doesn't have any particular advantage. So let's check by running another one.
Oh.
And you can see more in the full video. And so what happened there was an effect of the small population. This
Okay.
population probably only has like 100 individuals. There's like dots on the bottom. Unfortunately, YouTube covers shorts with so much crap, and it's hard to like. I don't
Yeah.
know how to remove it. I don't know if it's possible. If you do know, then tell me, please, because it's really annoying. But if you only have 100 things, so natural fluctuation is going to eliminate one, which means you can never get any more. Which means that the one that wins the remaining matchup is going to win. But if you had 1 billion individuals,
Okay, yeah.
I bet it would stabilize, or it would enter into an oscillating thing where the one that's doing really well
Right. Yeah, I was
gets
thinking
taken over
oscillating.
by the yeah, it could go around like a circle.
Mm-hmm.
And that sort of seems like
Before
what it
we
was,
hit go,
was doing,
what do you think will
maybe,
happen?
a little
Yeah,
bit.
it was doing a little bit in the middle.
Right? Like it's is it going? Yeah. And then it goes to that one.
Yeah.
And then it goes to that one. And then it goes to this one. And then it
Yeah.
goes to this one.
All right.
And then it
Yeah,
and
no,
it
but that
wins.
I definitely saw the oscillating thing that you were talking about.
Exactly. It definitely went. So it's.
But
it's
if there
a
had
great
been more
channel.
individuals, you probably would have seen a
Exactly.
better representation of it. Yeah.
Exactly. But that takes a lot more computing power. People like when people like this guy are saying, "Oh, we should just simulate these things." One, we do, and
I mean, we kind of
they
do.
they do not back this guy up, like, categorically.
Yeah.
Two, the simulations have limits because when you are in a simulation, at best you can have maybe weeks of supercomputer time, which is like an enormous amount of power, enormous amount, but it's not capable of simulating like an actual ecosystem with more than a few hundred degrees of freedom. It's just
It's
not.
a mathematical simulation,
Yeah. And
not an actual.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
have to eliminate so much stuff from it because otherwise all you've simulated is like how the wind makes this little flower flutter, which like isn't that important, but turns out reality is complicated, and it is that important in reality. Yeah.
For $2, Team ONB Formula One Dog Racing says, "Do your own research equals buy my book." And you know what? It's probably not wrong.
I should write a book.
I thought you and Titan were working on a book.
Yeah, but
Yeah, for $2.22. My Infinite Journey says, "Hail Nero, hail Maya and company, hail God showing up."
hell.
Hell God.
What the hell? Sorry.
Fix the parameters in order to get the answer that you want. But that is not how evolution, in terms of the theory of evolution, is meant to work, which is meant to be a blind process with no guiding force and no intervention.
Yes, that's wrong. Nature, the environment is the guiding force.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. It's not a force that has an outcome it's aiming for, though.
Well, that's what I was saying. It is blind. It
is blind.
Nature is blind.
Yeah.
Evolution isn't.
I will say though, that simulation that we just watched, he set up the initial conditions and then he ran it, and it turned out that in that run, Scissors won. If he did it 10 times. On average, you would expect it to be evenly distributed.
Yes.
Fluctuates randomly.
Right.
And
statistical anomalies occur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not happening today.
Do that over and over and over. That's why we do it. So we recognize anomalies. Before they get as bad as that.
Indeed.
It has not been observed and is not happening in the past. And that's the second point I was making. And here we have to look at the fossil record. In The Origin of Species, Darwin himself made these comments, which are very significant. He wrote, quote, "As by this theory, innumerable transitional forms must have existed, why do we not find them embedded in countless numbers in the crust of the earth?"
Because, relatively speaking, you've spent a grand total of 45 seconds looking at that time in history.
Yeah.
Relatively speaking to how long we've looked now, somebody looked outside their bedroom window and was like, I don't see any rock bone things.
It was very soon after Darwin died that they found Archaeopteryx, which was a specific transition.
Was it after I thought he was still alive.
I thought it was right after he died that they found it. I could be mistaken. But either way, shortly after he made the prediction for Archaeopteryx, which a very specific prediction about what they would find in the hand bones of birds. I say hand bones loosely. It's exactly what they found. And that didn't mean that he was right. It just supported the thing that he said.
Yeah.
All right. So Archaeopteryx was discovered in 1861. Darwin passed in 1882, so just before.
Wow. That's
when did Origin of Species get published? Because it was probably just after the first edition. Because I think that was a book that went under
1859.
Yeah.
So, wow. And then Archaeopteryx was 1861. Like, that's crazy.
Motherfucker called it.
Yeah.
Wow.
He called it.
That, man, you don't see. God.
Darwin really does deserve a reputation as a brilliant scientific thinker, because I feel like to a lot of us now, evolution seems almost obvious, because when somebody lays it out for you clearly, it really is.
I mean, and if it's been like, for those of us who had like decent schools, it's been your whole life. Like I tell everybody, I was taught evolution by nuns. So
it's just not that hard to understand.
I was taught intelligent design by teachers, so go figure.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, it's just so rare that that would be like, I think Einstein died thinking black holes were a myth, and
he definitely died thinking that they,
I say myth, but
that they could still be just mathematical. He may have believed that they could still be just mathematical. He definitely thought there was no hope of detecting gravitational waves, or a lot of things that we have now detected.
And could you imagine him like laying out a paper like that and people were being like, wow, maybe. And then 2 years later, like, that's badass.
My advisor in grad school, Eric Cornell, he was one of the winners of the 2001 Nobel Prize for being the first to observe a phenomenon called Bose-Einstein condensation. That was 100 years later. It was 80 years later. Like, you don't get these things like just on demand.
Yeah.
Darwin basically said, oh, there should be this thing, and then boom.
Right. No, it's like my crystal ball says, look here. I mean, it's almost like that.
That's just Darwin's most famous prediction.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, still though, like that's unheard of in science. Like, that type of science.
It's a very rapid confirmation of a bold new idea.
Close quote. He himself described the lack of transitional fossils as, quote, the most obvious and gravest objection which can be urged against my theory, close quote. Now, at the time, people were saying, oh, we haven't looked around enough. We will find these fossils. Okay.
And they did.
Okay, so we wind the clock forward 100 years. of hundreds of millions of dollars of investment to try and support and buttress the theory of evolution. And atheist paleontologist Niles Etheridge, very famous
What?
And that's what he does. He finds a quote. Because if you look long enough and hard enough, you can find a quote from somebody in the field that's going to say almost anything you want.
Yeah.
I mean, this is true.
And sometimes it will be a quote where the person actually is agreed. Sometimes you're taking them like horribly out of context. Like if you put the sentence before and the sentence after, it completely changes the context. Sometimes they're just wackadoodle nonsense people. They do exist, but it's oh my god.
paleontologist in the 1970s acknowledged that despite massive efforts,
By the way, the 1970s, 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Not that recent.
nothing has changed. Quote, it is a simple, ineluctable truth
Bullshit.
that virtually all members of a biota, which basically means a species or a category of beings, of living beings, remain basically stable with minor fluctuations during their duration.
That's true. Most of the time, a population is not in the middle of a rapidly changing and evolving like phenotype or allele distribution. You have to have evolutionary pressures. When everything's good, as Joe pointed out earlier, like if all of the bacteria are being given great conditions, there's no pressure for them to evolve in any particular direction.
Should Al be awake?
Yes, actually. Because Al does not have work. Al just got home from like 5 days on the road.
Ooh.
So
Hi, Al.
yeah. So Al, I'm 99% sure does not have work tomorrow.
Meaning that there is no new forms that can be observed. The reality is that no meaningful fossils of the intermediate forms that are required by Darwinian evolution has been found to date. Despite the existence of billions of fossils, such a large number incidentally argues for a catastrophic event like a global flood.
No, it doesn't. That's dumb.
But the fact that
Oh,
these
hey, here's a
transitional
good question though. I know it's like 20 minutes ago, but that's a great. It is a good question. Does all pseudoscience have a problem with the second law?
I want to know where the second law touched him as a kid. Dude, I don't know. It's the most misunderstood law in physics.
It's an easy one to get part of the story, and that like you get the half of things are moving to disorder. You get that part of it, and you're like, okay, that makes sense. But it doesn't apply to every situation without the rest of the definition.
It really doesn't.
Yeah.
As an example, if you have a car, okay, eventually, and you just put it in like a box that has like oxygen and stuff, in it. Eventually, that car is gonna rust down and just be like a uniform pile of rust.
Okay.
It's all gonna be the same fine powder. That's a lot more orderly and uniform and normal than the car was, wasn't it? A bag of sand is more ordered than
The concrete
thing that has a whole bunch of different little gizmos and gadgets. Like, those are all different objects and everything like that. I'm using ordered, not complex, because those... You come to you put the same law in different words that aren't well mathematically defined, and you come to totally different conclusions. That's not how entropy is. Entropy is a mathematically precise concept. It is defined in terms of derivatives of energy and temperature and things like that.
I like to explain it as areas of high energy will move into to areas of low energy and even out over time. That's
exactly. Energy tends to spread out and even out. That is a much better way of describing entropy.
Yeah.
Forms as you evolved over time from the simplest organism all the way through ultimately to man, you would expect a lot of intermediate forms,
Sure. Yeah.
but they just don't exist. They haven't been found.
Not true.
Just not true.
I mean, even just for humans, how many hominids and bipedal hominids are there? Like it's just silly. It's a silly thing to say. Phylogenetic trees exist.
Yep.
As evolutionary atheist biologist Jeffrey H. Schwartz admitted, quote, instead of filling the gaps in the fossil record with so-called missing links, most paleontologists found themselves facing a situation in which there were only gaps in the fossil record with no evidence of transformational intermediates between documented fossil species, close quotes. These the scientists themselves saying this. What we see instead is the same living forms persisting over supposedly hundreds of millions of years of supposed evolution.
I don't think that there is a single species that you can demonstrate being persistent for 100 million years.
Now he's lying about ecology as well.
I reject that idea. Yeah. I think that that's absurd. You can find things that look very similar, but they're not the same. The coelacanth is a popular example. They're not the same. Like people, the scholars in the field can look at those two things and be like, "Oh, these are really, really similar. They're definitely related. Maybe not direct, ancestry, but they're definitely related. But they are different. This bone is misshapen in this way compared to this other thing."
No, we don't find modern humans in the same layer as dinosaurs anywhere ever. Never. So that alone is just makes what he said not true.
But what about the Precambrian rabbit?
What?
This is a thing that I once heard. I think I heard Dapper. No, I didn't hear. It was Aaron Ra. Aaron Ra apparently had somebody come up to him one time and say, "What about the Precambrian rabbit?"
There weren't rabbits?
There isn't. That is the thing that we always bring up as being like, if you ever found one of these, it would completely throw a huge wrench in our entire model. And they somehow conflated and assumed that it had been found when the
Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
There are
millions of examples saying that what you're saying is wrong and dumb. Yes, yeah. I agree.
Fossils of squids that are supposed to be hundreds of millions of years old that look indistinguishable from the squids of today.
But they are.
That's not true.
Distinguishable. and that's how we know that they're different than the ones we have today, dummy. Like, how do you know?
To be fair,
words he said he was wrong.
Well, they could just be identical, but like made out of rock, right? But they're not. There are subtle different things about them. They have different numbers of suckers or tentacles or something. The shape of the beak is noticeably different. I wouldn't be surprised if it was that, because the beak is like the one hard thing that squid have. So,
and simple sea creatures are kind of known for stasis being a thing. Like, that's why they always pick those as examples.
Yeah, like I mean, there are only so many different ways that you can make a jellyfish, and that are going to appear like obviously distinct when fossilized. One, they don't fossilize easy. They're like the hardest thing to fossilize because they're jellyfish.
Right.
And yet still, no actual scientist who studies them, even if they can't say like, oh, this is a clear, obvious difference, they're definitely not going to say these are obviously the same species. Because
they're exactly
that's dumb.
Bugs stay bugs, as David Belinsky famously said. There's no evidence in the past that evolution has happened. evolution presupposes but cannot account for the origin of life.
This is just a different subject.
Yes,
and
that was
topic.
true.
Oh my God.
Evolution does presuppose that life already exists. That was
Physics
right.
presupposes that math works.
Oh my God.
Scientists have never been able to generate even the very basic constituents of life from simple chemicals.
It's not true.
Engineering
Wow.
is fake because actually engineering isn't physics, right?
Right.
Yeah, no, you really you don't even know how to interpret what I just said. It was that dumb. Yes.
I was just agreeing so you'd move on.
No, I mean, it's just like, yeah, engineering presupposes that buildings exist and that they can be built. Like, I don't.
Every building needs a builder, Maya. Every painting needs a painter. Every cloud needs a clouder.
Obviously.
Yeah. Every earthquake needs an earthquaker, and from that I conclude that God is a genocidal monster. Because we can't do that. Just saying.
I mean, we can,
Despite
but
decades
it
of
would be
research and
evil.
Full-on big proper earthquakes, not yet.
I mean,
And I
We can-
love the movie The Core. I'm just saying.
we can do
Small
things
earthquakes,
that
yes,
would
yes.
cause an earthquake-like effect. To
Yeah,
actually
On a-
like do
on
the
a
thing
small
from
scale.
inside the earth, and like I'm not saying
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
but we can do things.
You're
that
right.
cause-
You're right. Ocean's 13. Great movie.
They have an earthquake building in China, I think. I think it's China that has it. And it's like this big, huge building where they simulate earthquakes. They'll build like whole buildings on it and stuff, and they'll do different scale things. And
That's
Yeah,
pretty
that makes
awesome.
sense. I
it's
mean,
like
they
the
really
size
should,
of
because
a
they get a
hangar.
fuck ton of like six plus scale earthquakes. So, or I'm sorry, earthquakes that register as 6 plus on the Richter scale, like every year. It's
Damn.
yeah. Thanks climate change, which is definitely a thing.
I'm
If you
sorry.
don't ask the current regime.
I want to clarify something for the chat because
Sure.
I'm just seeing this right now.
Okay.
Jester is telling Holly that they don't think Vandy is bribable. I am absolutely bribable. Okay.
Oh God, no, we're not bribing anybody
I'm
unless it's with
expensive, but I am
unless it's with
bribable.
Bukkake. He does love that.
I
We'll talk
hate this
about
new
the show.
lore.
hundreds of millions of dollars of investment. For example, there's no assembly of amino acids, which are the constituent blocks of proteins, into proteins under abiotic conditions. And the work of James Tour,
Oh,
They're under abiotic. What is that? Okay. Oh. By the way, he's about to describe James Tour with a qualifier that is manifestly inappropriate. So I'm gonna
also, may
go
I
back
mention
fast.
James Tour is not an origins of life scientist. He is
No.
a very good chemist, but he is not an
a
origin.
synthetic chemist.
Yeah.
Oh hey, look, Professor Parks agrees with you.
Yup.
That's so
into
funny. I was
proteins.
talking to Dr. Kip the other day, and he was like, "Is Professor Parks ever in your chat?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Like a lot. How did you not notice
Professor
that?
Parks is here every week.
Maybe not every week, but like
It's
more weeks than not. Yeah.
yeah, it's more weeks than not.
under abiotic conditions. And the work of James
Same.
Tour, who's one of the most credentialed origin of life scientists in the world, with 800 research publications, over 130 granted patents, and over 100 pending patents.
He is not an origin of life researcher.
No.
Everybody's mad at me for saying that the 70s were a long time ago.
I'm just here representing the 79 crew because I know there's more than one of you out there. And that's not like a proverbial more like I know because you've told me. There's actually a lot of people here that were born in the 70s. So we are not old. We are better.
Whatever you got to tell yourself, Granny.
Right?
Whatever.
in
Feels
the
like
world,
2
with
years younger
800
than
research
me.
publications, over 130 granted patents, and over 100 pending patents. He basically indicates that there are unsurmountable technical difficulties of generating even the simplest of biological molecules, let alone any kind of simple organism, experimentally. It's impossible.
That's just not like, okay, we have demonstrated the production of many
Molecules.
different types of classes of biological molecules.
Yes.
Like, I basically think that we've basically at this point done every single intermediate step
We have
in
the
a
parts.
few different ways.
Yeah.
We just haven't done them all like together.
Because it's not
Which-
easy to do.
Wait, no, it's not easy to do. Also, we've only been trying for relative to how many chances nature has had 2.5 seconds.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I previously said that in Darwin's time, that was the equivalent of looking outside their window and being like, I don't see any transitional fossils.
If we made a frog tomorrow, they would say there was a problem with the way we did it, and it was witchcraft.
They would say that it required an intelligent designer. What
Yeah,
they want,
right.
what they want is for somebody to go out and scoop up a bunch of random stuff,
Throw it in the air.
in a Tupperware container, shake it for 2 months, and have a dog come out. That's what they want. Okay, it's completely unreasonable. That's not how science works.
So easy to debunk an argument if you straw man it first and poison the well.
Yeah.
These are facts. But also, Karen Butcher said, when they need to have proof of the development of kinds, they only need one book, and the claim is the evidence. And so I did want to pull up in Genesis 1, verse 24. God said, let the earth bring forth let the land produce living creatures according to their kinds. Cattle, creeping things, and wild animals. Those are kinds.
Wait, so is cattle a kind, creeping thing a kind, and wild animals a kind?
Apparently.
Kip. You got to learn us a thing about kinds, okay?
Yeah. Kip, we need a working definition of kinds.
I don't have.
But
I
also,
don't have a problem with them using kinds colloquially, like.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever we're talking about a specific mechanism in science, why don't we use the word that best explains the thing that we're talking about, so that other people can look at our work and know what the fuck we're saying? Like the problem is that
a working definition,
religious language and stuff into an area where it doesn't belong, where it's not compatible with the language of science. And when you start shoving words in like that, then we have to find out what is it you mean by that thing. And unfortunately, today, creationists don't really give a good explanation for what a kind is. It's kind of a floating term of whatever I need it to mean at the moment.
Yeah, a kind is a fuck you. I don't want to believe in your science.
Yeah.
Pretty much. But also, since we're talking about the ark, Genesis 16, verses 19 through 20 said, God said this to Noah, you are to bring into the ark 2 of all living creatures, male and female, and to keep them alive with you, 2 of every kind.
Plus birds.
Yeah,
Okay.
2 of every kind of bird, of every kind of animal, and of every kind of creature that moves along the ground will come to you to be kept alive. So yeah, kinds.
Better get your boots on, Noah.
Bible is the claim and the evidence. But for $5, Left-Handed Jedi says, didn't Einstein discover gravity lensing of light during an eclipse and have another scientist observe the event, or was it someone else?
Yes. So the general theory of relativity, which I think he published in 1915 or thereabouts, he published it before 1918 or 1919, which is when Eddington went on an expedition to go to a place where there was going to be a total solar eclipse, and he was able to take some measurements of where some stars appeared, and they were lensed by the gravitational effect of the sun. And so he did do that, and he did predict that. It wasn't. It was pretty close the next year, actually. So, like, yeah, Einstein does deserve, like,
He chased.
in my opinion, Einstein deserved 4 Nobel Prizes. He got one.
Indeed. I'm sorry, what were you
least.
saying, Joe?
I was just saying he chased eclipses for years to get that data. That was like one of the things that was missing. That he had been chasing eclipses for years, trying to catch a full eclipse somewhere, and missed it because of clouds and shipping times and various things.
Yeah, the the theory of general relativity was published, there were 3 specific, precise things that Einstein described. One of them was the precession of the perihelion of Mercury. If you look at Mercury's orbit, it does not behave according to just Newton's laws. It has a deviation of, I believe it's 43 arc seconds per century or something like that. And they had measured that, with enough precision, and they had measured enough other things to be like, Newtonian theory does not predict this. That was one thing that Einstein had all the calculations, so when he published, he was able to say, my theory explains this. So
Wow.
you could say that's like a post-diction. He immediately had the receipts for it, though. He was able to explain something nobody else had before. Another thing, then there were 2 other things that he predicted. One was gravitational lensing of light, specifically by eclipses would be the best example. And Eddington was able to observe that and confirm the predictions of relativity shortly after it was come. The third thing was the gravitational redshift of light, and that was confirmed in, I can't remember the Pound-Rebka experiments. It was a Mossbauer effect experiment where they put a source of radioactive iron-39 at the bottom of a building and another one at the top, and then they move it up and down while they had a gamma ray detector behind it. And by moving it, you induce a small Doppler shift in the transition that is going to be absorbed by the other chunk of iron, and you can tell that the frequency of the photon from the bottom of the building to the top of the building got lower. The photon was stretched. And so those were the 3 big predictions that Einstein came out with. One, the data was already there. He had the receipts. Another was confirmed like quite shortly after he published. A third was not confirmed until like the 40s. I have done one of those experiments myself, personally, in a lab. So, yeah.
So yeah, take that.
Exactly.
Possible.
Whoa, real
This
quick.
primordial soup.
Sorry.
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 For $5, Professor Parks would like to remind us quotes from scientists are meaningless. And that's Professor Rob Parks, 2025. Also, thank you.
Hell yes.
Model that you often see in many of the biological textbook is just a fairy tale. It's a fable. It violates the second law of thermodynamics. This is a physical law that basically says that everything tends from an ordered state to a disordered state.
No.
No.
That's a bad way of putting it. Even in the examples where that does get you to the right answer, it's a bad way of putting it because there are a lot of examples where it doesn't get you to the right answer. So,
If all the experience that we have is that all natural and physical processes, for example, solar radiation, but also rain, wind, etc., are processes of decay that eventually disintegrate all complex systems. Things will fall apart over time. That's the sort of basic law that it's called the second law of thermodynamics.
it's not. It's
No.
not called that, okay? The second law of thermodynamics is a thing that can be expressed mathematically with derivatives and shit.
Right.
Do
The
you
thing
even
he
know
did
what a
was
derivative is?
horse shit he made up. It was different. Not the same thing at all.
My entire life is a bukkake of animals.
He's
I
just
You
so
did
did.
do
wrong.
you did do this though.
We are a proud people,
He's
and
he's just so wrong though. Like, and the thing is that, like, so he's sitting here talking to a guy that's not going to push back. So almost every sentence that has came out of his mouth has been demonstrably false, and
Oh yeah.
it's wild to hear, like, just one after another, just la 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 la. He's not even necessarily I mean, he did quote mine some people, don't get me wrong, but everything that he's drawn from that, and the quotes themselves in a couple cases, has been a lie. The things that, if he really studies this, that he knows are not true.
Yeah. I mean, he would have to, right? Like anybody who looks into this, like even a little bit, like to know enough to talk about it, he'd have to know that. And
Right.
yeah.
This is basic stuff that he's lying about. Just
Yes.
They can vary the existing parameters of a system. For example, iron can rust, but it cannot innovate the system and cannot change one thing into another, particularly.
it can change iron into fucking rust. Like, those are different things. I'm sorry. Like, okay, if you think that something is not a different thing because it has just a chemical change, then I want you to wait 5 weeks, like, of your food sitting out just in the hot sun before you eat it. But I don't actually want you to do that because you would get very sick and be ill, and I don't want to see you do that, even though
I want to see him mix his iron filings with aluminum filings and play with them.
yeah.
Okay, so Andrew asked a question. Did James Tour throw a temper tantrum?
Oh. Yeah, no, so James Tour shouts more than I do, and I spend most of these shows shouting. Like, I'm shouting right now, right? Like, I can't help myself. It's, yeah. Dude, he is kind of a psycho, though. Like, he really
I
does.
know.
He like loses his temper and gets like angry and shouts at interlocutors at a level that
Wait, like Dawkins or like I'm trying to think of another famous grifter that gets mad and shouts when they are debunked.
I mean, there's nobody that does it as the one person that I saw that did it in like an
Darth
equally sort of
Dawkins?
embarrassing way was probably Peter Hitchens.
Darth
That was
Dawkins does it.
hilarious.
Anytime you tell him he's wrong, he freaks out and
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
kicks you out.
Oh, dark. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I actually you were like cut off for me, so I
Oh,
only
sorry.
heard Dawkins, and
I'll
I
be cut
didn't
on
put
next
that. I totally should have put that together.
No, yeah, I was
Richard
saying,
Dawkins
does
is,
anybody like I can't think of anybody who freaks out more than Darth Dawkins when they are
Yeah, no.
called to task on their lie.
Like,
But I mean, like, is he that bad? Or because I kind of find like if I had to
He's
do like a
pretty
0
bad.
to 10, like that would be a 10.
Yeah.
okay, yeah, he's not that bad.
Okay.
On that scale, he's probably like an 8.
Oh God. Yeah, that's
but
pretty bad.
he does do it in a way where you sort of get the sense that like he kind of is always shouty, and if you give like in a way that Darth Dawkins doesn't. Like, Darth Dawkins has this veneer of like calmness that, for example, I do not have. I feel like I feel like you can tell just from interacting with me when I'm calm but like excited about a topic that I can be like a little bit psycho sometimes.
You haven't had a run in with him yet, have you? Like ever?
Me?
Yeah.
With Darth Dawkins?
No, Vandy.
Oh, no.
I have had one.
Really?
I had a yes. It was a long time ago. It was in, I believe, 2018. It was pre-pandemic. And I had a 45-minute conversation with him it was a few weeks after the line became a thing. Because it was in the Discord channel for the line, and I was in there, and I saw this guy that was called
Duncan
Mullen Atheism.
Okay.
I think that's what it was, and he had the yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And so I talked to him, and I knew who Darth Dawkins was. I wasn't sure I was talking to Darth Dawkins.
Okay.
There was no audience. It was just me and him.
Yeah, I
which
hear
is a very different experience because he takes a lot longer to ramp up.
Yeah, no, it was really funny. Skylar Fiction said the same thing, that he was in a chat with like in a Discord, and it was just him and Darth. And he found out that Skylar, who at the time was an Apple genius, don't at me, I didn't name them. And then so he, like, if you know anything about Darth, you know about his love of Apple products. Like, loves Apple. Like there'll be like, he'll like jump out of a Discord because Apple is announcing something or doing some kind of event. So he was talking to him about that, like just excitedly for like 20 minutes. And then all of a sudden anybody jumps in and it just on a dime.
And yeah, no, like we started talking, and also like I mean, you know me, I'm pretty conciliatory. Like, I'm not somebody who just starts a fight immediately. But
Wherever.
we ended up talking, and he started asking me about, if I acknowledged the precondition of the intelligibility of God as a prior like necessity for every statement. And I was genuinely I got more of an opportunity to like probe him about what he meant because it was just me and him.
Right.
And he had never met me before. And it was during this conversation at some point I was like, wait, are you Darth Dawkins? I feel like I might have seen your name around a little bit. And he said yes, and I like left it at that. But eventually he just became a goddamn rabid cunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I talked to him for 5 minutes before he booted me, so you did good.
Did you have an audience?
No.
Really?
It was supposed to be a private conversation with me and Sam from Standing for Truth. And whenever I joined the room, Darth Dawkins was already there.
Okay.
And but I talked to Sam for about 45 minutes or so, and then he was like, here, Darth, I'm going to let you talk to him and whatever. And that lasted for about 5 minutes, and he booted me.
Yeah, no, you can't have an audience of one.
Yeah.
Like he has to be a dick. Like that's just how that goes. So yeah, that was a fun conversation. Moving on.
Yeah.
Something that is more complex and more ordered. And yet, we believe that you can get through these processes, these same processes, from molecules to man, as long as we have billions and billions of years of time.
Sure.
But the bottom line is you cannot get order and complexity from disorder, no matter how many billions of years you're waiting. A pile of...
What?
That's just not true. It's just dumb. It's
building materials will not become a house, no matter how long you wait, just by waiting for the rain and the solar radiation to make it happen. It's just not going to happen.
I think...
That's not how you make houses, man, but it is how you make jerky. Like, if you take some meat and you leave it on a rock, you can make jerky just by waiting for the sun to do its thing. Okay? And, like... because that's how jerky works.
In fact...
I mean, if you don't explain any other part of the process, that's exactly what happens, right? I mean, people lived in caves, and because of sun and everything, life eventually built houses out of the materials we have here, not out of anything else.
Yeah, I mean, it
So,
involved a lot of, people doing work and like, nailing in boards and like digging holes and
yeah,
leveling things. But yeah, all I have to do is wait because that's not what I do.
yeah. I mean, it depends on
Oh,
how
sorry.
many
Go ahead.
variables. Sorry.
No, yeah, I'm listening to you. Sorry. Or not. Maybe I'm reading Chester, who for $5 says Bree tells us to be kind, and I get confused which one she means. Should I be a quack kind or a carpet muncher? Oh well. Magnet Bukaki, Rule 34. Good luck.
Well,
Well,
now I have to
Let's
look it
see
up.
if the stream gets taken down after all of this. YouTube's just like, yeah, I know.
Magnet Bukkake.
Oh God. Just
Okay, hold on. I'll do it later. Sorry.
Time the building materials themselves will crumble and disappear.
Sure. And I think, I mean, you might get onto this later, but an interesting thing that I heard in a talk by Father Rippiger is that he basically said, pertaining to this, he said, you can't give what you don't have, right? So a piece of bacteria can't give the complexity that a human being has. It's impossible. Because, I mean, basically the cause has to be greater than the effect, right? You can't create something that you don't have. I can't make you rich if I don't have $5. It's like that kind of thing. So
what?
Okay, what he's saying is a thing can't give another thing a property that you can't have a thing with a property arise out of a system that didn't already have that property.
Okay. Okay.
So complexity can't come out of non-complexity. Beauty can't come out of something that doesn't have beauty, would be the way that he's applying this. Okay, this is a remarkably dumb thing.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like, I have an example that I was shouting to myself earlier in the bathroom. Do you guys, can you guys think of any examples just immediately off the top of your head?
Joe.
what are we looking for here?
Can you have a thing that
Just so
produces
high. I love
something
it.
that has a different property from the original thing? Can
Yes.
something not beautiful make something beautiful, for example? Can something not red make something red? Literally anything.
Yeah. I mean, not in the sense that he means, but I could get there, I guess.
So my example was that this guy's logic means ice can't melt because water is wet and ice isn't.
Right.
That's like, it's dumb.
Well, it's this idea that rearranging parts that you already have can't give you new information, when that's literally what we call most information is just different arrangements of
Yes.
different facts, ideas, philosophies, things like that. Like it's it's just untrue
Yeah.
on every scale.
I feel like if you asked most physicists what would be the best definition of information, like in the context of physics generally, they would probably say something along the lines of the number of yes or no questions you need to ask about a system to learn every detail. It's actually a fairly well-defined concept when you think about systems of like 3 electrons together. They have, position, they have momentum, they have spin. Each one. And that's about it. So you need like that many bits of information. But they don't have any of that. They're going off vibes.
thank you. But yeah, so continue. Sorry to interrupt.
We also have the proposed mechanism of biological evolution just doesn't work. We call it genetic. It's called genetic entropy. A lot of very good work has been done by Dr. Jan Sanford of Cornell. What he did is he measured the accumulation of human mutations at around 100 new mutations per generation. Now, most mutations have a near neutral effect.
Okay, so that's
now hold on.
mutate.
That's the thing you said that it doesn't do, though. That's the thing you just said that doesn't happen, is that they have 100 and some mutations and they do different things, but none of them are good. Like he just said that it does the thing that he's been arguing it doesn't do. Does that can that mutated thing, and in many cases does it have different properties than the parents that it came from? Sometimes.
What are you looking for?
I was responding. I feel like I read a comment that Al said earlier where he said that weasels aren't people.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
had to clarify because we are a proud people. But
You
I
keep
might have.
saying that.
That's all I have, Maya.
Fair.
On a slightly deleterious, slightly negative. A beneficial mutation, things that will give an improvement, are so rare that they're not even considered, essentially. The bottom line is this: every single mutation in the genetic code over time will either have no effect or degrade functionality. They will degrade.
That's dumb
It's
and
a
wrong
lie.
and bad. And you know how you know that's dumb and wrong and bad? Because imagine you have a mutation that has a negative effect. And then later you have a mutation that just undoes that previous mutation.
It's a
Are,
negative effect, and
are they both bad?
again, like, if it's a negative effect to the environment you're in, then it's not really like, it's just changes to environmental pressures. Like, it's not negative and positive. And we say that natural selection will carry on through the ones that are most likely to be able to reproduce in that environment. They were able to survive better in that environment, so they pass on their genes. Like, it's not this negative thing is like, yeah, those things don't get selected for, and if they do, they get phased out over over generations.
I can't disagree with any of that.
He's misrepresenting the mechanism, is what I'm trying to say. Which, duh. But
Is there anything he's not misrepresenting, though?
no, there hasn't been yet.
They do not add functionality. It's a bit like if you have a piece of software and you have a bug, software bug, you're not going to get anything, an improvement in your software. It's going to degrade and probably stop working. And what
I mean, you might, though. Like, it's. Typically you won't, but.
We make software better all the time. What are you talking about?
Yeah, well, yeah, and sometimes you can do it accidentally. It's pretty rare, but I've definitely done some things where, because I made a mistake, something happened in a way that at least prompted a great new idea. Like,
No. So software getting a bug is not random either, by the way.
yeah,
So,
yeah, software does what you tell it to. Even complex software, like you have to be very complex for like actual random physical processes in the world to start messing with it. No, I do not share walls with my neighbor. Yeah.
You do share well with. Well, do you share well? I guess you kind of share well with your neighbors.
Me? Joe.
oh, kind of. People
No,
live
it's,
above me, yes.
I have a casita. I have the
And it's not, I
in-law
don't
house.
think it's God. I mean, it could be, but I don't think so.
I have like the perfect bachelor pad.
John Sanford demonstrated through his work is that we as humans are actually degrading. We're actually becoming dumber. We're not evolving.
Well, you know what? Yeah, we are, because we're listening to you right now. So yeah, we're becoming dumber because everything you've said has made us dumber for having listened to it. I award you
That's
no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
that's why every source he used came from the 70s and the 1800s and everything else, because we haven't gotten any smarter. We ain't figured nothing else out. You just use those for some reason.
And interestingly, the rate of mutation tallies with the biblical chronology. That's one of the reasons why
It doesn't.
the patriarch.
It so doesn't. The amount of hyper evolution that you have to have over an exceptionally short time period to account for the diversity that we see now after the arc, you have to you have to have that diversity there like 2,000 years ago, because like all the animals that we see now pretty much were there 2,000 years ago, right? So it's impossible.
I mean, my take on what he said so far, I mean, without asking him directly, I'm not sure, but it seems like he doesn't accept microevolution either, because nothing has any different properties than it's ever had. I mean,
well, yeah, I mean, he wouldn't agree with that way of putting what he believes, but yeah, I mean, I do.
yeah, I'm not sure.
Lived for so long because they were closest to the perfect prototype of Adam.
That's very interesting.
And over time, all these mutations started to accumulate. And that's why lifespan decreased very significantly. We are getting a slight uplift recently, but that's nothing to do with the genetic situation.
So he's saying that now our lifespan is finally going up a little bit, and he's comparing it to Methuselah. Okay? And Methuselah lived for a very nice 969 years, if I recall correctly. So, there's that.
Okay. Weird.
Some improvement of sanitation and medical care.
Sure.
But in terms of our genetic,
like antibiotics,
we are degrading.
Sure. That's very helpful to note. It's obviously a good explanation to, as you said, why the patriarchs lived for so long. Yeah.
It's also so the bottom line is that genetic entropy has now conclusively shown that the fundamental mechanism of biological evolution, which is the genetic mutation, the idea that through genetic mutation and
So, do you guys know what genetic entropy is?
Genetic entropy.
Yeah, genetic entropy.
It sounds like something I've heard on Dapper's channel.
It absolutely is something you've heard on Dapper's channel. You've also heard it on Dr. Dan's channel.
I mean, is this what we usually call genetic drift?
No, yeah, but with attitude. Like a preconceived idea.
Genetic drift.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's genetic drift, but without, one of the defining features of genetic drift. Right?
So attitude. Does it like snap its fingers and roll its neck? Like, I love him. All right, explain it for us.
Yeah, so genetic entropy is the idea that the deleterious effects, which are inevitable and almost constant, of mutations will necessarily accumulate at a fast enough rate that they will lead to a constant net degradation of fitness. Now, this is wrong. It's just wrong. The basic idea is wrong. That's not how the frequencies work. 2, it relies on redefining fitness most of the time. 3, it's wrong. Okay, that's not how it works. Like, this is an important point. I don't know why I kept elaborating.
Yeah, no, I can't tell if it's wrong though.
So you shouldn't believe me. You should believe somebody like Dr. Dan, who has.
Dr. Dan is awesome.
Yeah. And so, I mean, you watch Dr. Dan's channel, and you're going to learn a lot of things. You're going to learn that the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell.
Maybe not so much.
Oh, right. No, he hates that. Sorry. You're going to learn that genetic entropy is, like, not a thing, and that you have to just make and you're going to learn about the difference between mutation rates and fixation rates. I can't remember the exact terms, but there is a difference between how the rate at which mutations happen in individuals and the rate at which they achieve species fixity in the overall and become like ubiquitous throughout the entire species. Those are very different like rates, and that's another thing that these people get wrong constantly. And it's very much related to genetic entropy. It's all about a complete misunderstanding of the actual statistics of mutations and changes in the genome. Substitution rates, that's the word.
Okay,
yeah. So
That's-
this is not my field, though. So yeah.
I think you gave a perfect explanation. That made sense.
Hey Joe, I really like your background there. Can you tell us you're like the head of a table in a what is this, a satanic temple?
Yeah, this is just an AI generated picture. I think I said
No,
something
no, you're
about
in a great hallway.
yeah,
That's totally
a
what's happening.
spooky dining room with occultic symbols on the walls and ceilings.
Is that
Something like
Baphomet?
huh?
Is
You
that
think so?
Baphomet? God.
Yeah, I don't know where that. I didn't ask for that guy. He just showed up. Um, I don't know.
I love it.
He stays back there.
I'm sorry.
Natural selection, you can get increased functionality, increased order, increased complexity. You can go from a molecule to a man ultimately. Just doesn't work. The mechanism doesn't work.
It does, though.
It does.
I mean,
We have irreducible.
it just does. It's just like when you look at every step individually, none of them are that weird. They're just not.
Complexity in all biological systems that is, again, refuting Darwinian evolution according to Darwin's own criteria. In The Origin of the Species, Darwin said, quote, if anyone would prove the existence of a complex organ that absolutely could not have come from a large number of consecutive changes, then my theory would completely collapse.
Yes.
At the time of Darwin, cells were thought to be very
left out
simple blobs of goo.
I'm
He-
not
he-
sure how well established and accepted that model was. It
He-
was a model, but I think probably a lot of people would have said if you asked them like, "Oh, we don't really know yet. Like we can't tell."
He left out part of what Darwin said about irreducible complexity.
What did Darwin say about irreducible complexity?
Well, the problem is that irreducible complexity doesn't just say that if you didn't have one of these systems that it wouldn't function, that it couldn't function and still be beneficial to the species, right? So,
Or neutral, frankly.
right, and the example, I'll use his example of the eye, one we understand very well and have seen multiple times. You can get to an eye much like the human eye, one step at a time, and all of them are beneficial to the species, and thus would be carried on through natural selection.
Yep.
Yeah, so he's just wrong again, and he lied about what Darwin said about it. Darwin points out that would be how you could prove him wrong was to show that it couldn't have benefited from any of the previous genetic changes.
That's exceptionally hard to do. It would be like if evolution is false, that's not how you're going to prove it because it structurally is too hard to prove. You have to say that categorically there is no path from your starting point to your ending point that is positive or neutral at every significant step. And like there's just too many paths, right? There's too many ways that can happen.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, this example, he's going to talk about the flagellum because whenever you hear irreducible complexity, it's always the bacterial flagellum. This was actually litigated in I think it was federal court. It might have been state court. It was a thing. It was the Dover versus Miller trial. And, like, I'm not saying you should go to court for, like, scientific accuracy, but, like, there was an opportunity for both sides to lay out their argument, and one of them was like, yeah, but not though, and the other one was like, yeah, but what about these literal legions, stacks of publications that are addressing on a whole lot of varied ways exactly the question that you are saying there's no answer to. So, yeah. But Michael Behe is like, nuh-uh, and, blessed be he, so.
Yeah.
But since then, we've had electron microscopy that has
sorry.
shown that cells are very, very highly complex,
She threw something.
what we call nanomachinery, like machines on a very, very small scale. And they all have to be all the functioning parts have to be present at the same time for the cell to exist and survive.
Kitzmiller.
In modern cells, yes.
Yeah.
But they weren't always
Cells are
that
literally
way.
They were not.
No.
And also, like, the structure of a cell is going to be, like, the most optimized thing because, like, multicellular organisms, you know what they're composed of multiples of?
Cells.
Cells. So it turns out that,
You don't
you know,
say. I can't believe I got that right.
I mean, stunning, right? Like, I get nothing right almost ever. And I probably
Can confirm.
maybe could have gotten that right. Yeah, right? Exactly.
complex cities, which within the interdependent factories and systems, like a headquarter, the nucleus, the transport system, the assembly system, manufacturing, energy production, storage, waste disposal, very intricate systems that all need to be.
Yeah, but all necessary systems where any incremental improvement in how that function was being carried out would be a naturally selected for thing, right? There is a great Nova doc about it. It's fantastic, and you can watch the whole thing on YouTube. It's great. About Kitzmiller versus Dover, sorry.
Be together, otherwise the cell will just die. So this is a classic example of irreducible complexity. A bit like the mousetrap. All the components of the mouse.
Bruh.
Oh, come on, Michael Behe. Come on.
The mousetrap, dude, like, if you watch the documentary, you're gonna see that one of the witnesses showed up wearing in their suit while they appeared in court. They were wearing a mousetrap as a tie clip.
What?
Yeah, because you know what? Just because if you take out the bait trap. So the mousetrap, it has the baseboard, it has a spring, it has a like a rod that goes smackety smack, and it has a thing that holds the bait. And you need all of those things for it to function as a mousetrap. But you don't need all of those things for it to function.
Right.
In this case, he showed up in court wearing the thing as a tie clip because it's basically a big ass. I mean, it's ugly. It's not a good tie clip, but it made his fucking point, which was the actual purpose of it, right?
What? So, yeah, Mark and Porpoise are saying that Kitzmiller versus Dover.
Kitzmiller versus Dover, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Was
Yeah,
the court thing that took
it
place
was.
in Pennsylvania.
Yep, and the judge was appointed by I think it was W. Bush, and not his dad, and found that the conclusion was that the school had violated, like had violated, I don't know, the Constitution, something, by teaching intelligent design, because the court ruled that intelligent design was not scientific. This is a Bush appointee, like,
Yeah.
on paper,
So-
like all of the, but like, you know,
I mean, when words have meaning.
Exactly.
Yeah, this does not use the
Yeah.
scientific method. It is therefore not science.
I
So-
believe
So
I
the book
believe-
in question
the book,
was,
yes,
was
go
called
on it.
Of People and Pandas.
Yes.
It was literally the book that was used in my high school biology course.
Oh my god! And did you read what just came up?
Wait, which one?
Team O and B. C
Oh.
design proponents.
Yeah.
So let me tell you, the problem was that this textbook that they had of Pandas and People, is that what it was?
Yes. Or if
it-
People and Pandas were in it.
Yeah, and so this was a book that the people who were suing were alleging this book is just a thinly veneered mask for creationism.
Yes.
This is not science. This is religion. You are enforcing a religion, and it's a violation, therefore, of the First Amendment. And it's hard to prove that a book like this is like directly just a thin veneer of creationist argument. Like, you would have to have something really damning. You would have to have, for example, like evidence that they literally went and just copy and pasted all examples of the word creationist with the word intelligent design proponent. Okay? Now, how are you going to get that? You're not going to be able to get that, okay? So there's no way that they actually would have done a control F on the word creationist and substituted it with intelligent design proponents, but they did do that.
Yeah, they did.
And in one place in the book, it was the original word was like mistyped. So creationists had an extra C or something. So when they did Control F replace all, one place in the book it showed up as C design proponentsists. And it had the C and it had extra ists at the end. And that you basically can't get a transitional form, if you will. You basically cannot get a more damning direct demonstration of a thing that is normally very hard to prove. It's hard to prove the motivations behind something unless you have the transitional form.
That, you know what?
We're not topping that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not.
Seriously.
I feel like I'm gonna.
Uh-oh. Did I
Where?
remove the
I
wrong?
mean, what'd you do?
Wait, what happened to Joe?
That's not
Joe,
me.
come back.
Yeah.
All right, you know what? Can we put up Joe's video again? Because that was, if there's some people that didn't miss that were not here for the very beginning, and I feel like a lot of people came in after we did the video, and they were here for most of the video, so I don't think they're going to go back to the very beginning. Like, maybe Maya played a song. So you know what? Maya's going to play a song because Joe is going to talk to us about his thing. Can you?
Whoa.
Whoa. Joe, talk to us. All right. So there are what do you call it?
If you're
There are dissenters who don't think that you can talk to us about your thing. Take it away.
Okay. So you completely threw me off by saying that again. So if anybody was looking for a good excuse to come to Kentucky in July and stand outside in the heat, boy, do I have something for you. The July 6th in Williamstown, Kentucky, we'll have a protest at the Ark Encounter Museum. It's owned and ran by AIG, or their leader, Ken Ham, you may know. The many lies that we've heard this guy tell today, there's many more upon this, and this place thinks it's a good idea to get them while they're young, and to teach this to your children. And so we do this for a number of reasons. They also ripped off Kentucky taxpayers to build a religious thing in the state. So there's a number of reasons that it's bad, but for me, one of the things is that I think it leads to us having deeper conversations about the separation of church and state, and making our even local city and state governments hold up to that ideal. So come hang out with us.
So, I mean, they're getting pushback lately even from the religious people.
Sure. Well, I think if you really look at it, the truth of the thing would be that it's the extreme claims of religious fundamentalisms that push more people away from religion than anything atheists do. In the information age, we have information available at our fingertips, so you're more likely to go check an extremely crazy claim than something that's not that crazy, right?
Right.
And the creationists are actually kind of shooting themselves in the foot, to speak, and I think that I don't have any numbers. I just made all that up, but I think that that's probably the case if you look at it. I know atheists aren't converting them, so
Right. Right. But you do have a channel.
yeah. My channel's the Kentucky Atheist. I put stuff out all week long. Like I said, tomorrow we're talking to Deviant Outcast, who knows things about Egypt, and it would be an expert in the field, I suppose. So we're going to talk to her about some of the more recent conspiracy theory stuff to do with Egypt, and we do shows on religion and politics, and all the different things that we as another group of people need to know, talk about a little bit of everything. But the protest is a big deal, and you should come to that. All the information's on the Kentucky Atheist on YouTube. There's also on my Discord server, there's a whole section dedicated to it, to where you can find things. If you do plan on coming, go to my Discord and you can get the hotel information, save some money on a hotel room. And you need to book that room by June 15th. That's the spiel.
Dr. Kip says since Joe is right there in his house, he should go get his good friend King Manasseh to invite Ken Ham over for a visit to the totally not fictional God Moloch. And I learned a few weeks ago that Moloch is a euphemism that was concocted by the Christian scholars so that they didn't have to actually talk about how much Yahweh fucking loves child sacrifice. Weird.
Is this any relation to Moloch the owl? Is that what we're are we going full Alex Jones here?
No, Moloch's the god in the Bible that he does the child sacrifice. Totally not Yahweh. Wink, wink. But for $2, the Sinister Purpose says, is it still legal to be trans, LGBTQ, or POC in Kentucky? I've been waffling on going to Kentucky because I have just the same questions. Because even before we got the Orange Monster in office, it still didn't feel like it would be safe to be trans, LGBTQ, or POC in Kentucky. Maybe it's just me. Joe, you live there. What do you think?
Those are all obviously legitimate concerns to have about coming to the state of Kentucky. And I can't, of course, ever 100% guarantee that you would not run into some of our stupider residents and have issues with them. But I think that the way that this is planned and everything, that we will, be together and stuff, that it's, I think that I can pretty well say that one of our primary concerns is making sure that everybody has a safe, fun time. So it's a legitimate concern, though, and I can't. There's not really anything I can say. I mean, Kentucky is known for being a shithole, and it is that shithole. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, I really don't know. Your studying of Kentucky is correct. I mean, unfortunately, that's true.
So
Sorry.
yeah, hopefully with more things like this, it'll be less and less true. But yeah.
Right, right. That's, one of the things we can start with is getting rid of the big damn boat where they tell kids the world's 6,000 years old. I mean, that would be an excellent start. So
That'd be a great start.
I would love for you to come help us do that.
What if they replace it with a plane that tells people it's 300 years old, though?
Well, I mean, at least they went, a couple thousand years later for their
No,
nonsense.
but that's worse, though, right? That's worse.
Yeah, I definitely think we
it
could
makes the earth
promote
shorter.
critical thinking and skepticism.
But let's see, where else am I? All right, yeah, definitely find Joe here, and then I think Andrew's been awesome. Here's the link tree, everybody. Sorry, I'm fighting a cold, I guess. Please find Joe if you can afford it, if you can make it there, if you happen to, especially if you happen to be a cis out white male. There's going to be a lot of community there. It's going to be a lot of. There's going to be a lot of fun.
We are a powerful people.
Indeed, especially in the U.S.
Well, I mean, we did want to make sure that we included representation from groups like Black non-believers, because that is an important issue in Kentucky, and a place where so much change needs to take place that small things like this may have big effects too. So again, working towards it being a place where you're at least not scared to come and observe your rights.
So multiple people have asked this question.
Sure.
Will there be food trucks and porta potties?
Okay, we cannot have porta potties on the property. We will have a bathroom shuttle, multiple ones if we need it. There's a gas station you can see from right there. They're friendly. They've used it in the past without any problems. So it's like a couple blocks down. But you could walk it, but we'll have people run back and forth. We'll have a way for you to do that. On the day of the protests, Tri-State Freethinkers is buying everyone pizza for lunch. This thing will probably be about a half a day thing. You don't have to pay anything to eat pizza. They'll order as much as they need to order for everybody. They'll accept donations, but you don't have to buy your food. There'll be food there. So I know that pizza may not be your thing, but it's free.
And that's on Sunday?
Yes.
Okay. Can we replace
Sunday,
the Ark Encounter with an artificial world where we have to survive that has dinosaurs creating mechanics and hidden tech options? God. Oh, God. Porpoise has been watching too many of our streams. But for $2, Team O&B Formula One Dog Racing says, I can't wait until the Ark Encounter is a water park. Which, I mean, it really wouldn't take that much. I heard that the Ark Encounter flooded a couple of years back.
Their property flooded. It didn't damage the big fake boat, but because it's not a boat at all, it's a building. It's just
I remember a lot of people laughing about that. It's just
yes.
It is
supposed to be the actual built up to the actual specs of the Ark, and that God delivered from on high to Noah.
Yeah.
And yeah,
You would think God would have figured that out whenever it started to become a problem, or maybe not made it rain so much on his people or whatever they think they are. Um, the the arc encounter is crazy because it's like it shows you that even the craziest ideas, whenever they have funding and the they get power with it and they're able to do the things they're doing, um, it's I mean, dinosaurs with saddles on them, iron before they had iron, multiple things, incest, genocide, all those things are. It's not like whenever we say incest and genocide, we're being extreme about this. That's what it is.
isn't that what was Aaron Ra the one that coined that, like the incest and genocide park?
Well, the Tri-State Freethinkers, the first year they did this, that was their big banner for it.
Oh, okay,
And,
gotcha.
we actually have that same exact banner we're going to put up for this one. So, but yeah, that's kind of where that comes from. Jim, one of the organizers, is very good friends with Aaron, and they worked on a lot of different things. So
Yeah, I know. I remember Aaron promoting it heavily a few years back.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know if I was.
Aaron's been to every one but one of them.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
So he's probably excited to come to this one.
yeah, he's Aaron said, if we can, make it work, put me up or whatever for the weekend,
Mhm.
and we'll do it. And in past years, he had stayed at the people's house that I'm working with on this. And so when they headed it, because they were all friends, well, he
Mhm.
didn't know I was working with them initially. So I was like, oh, hey, I found out that we know the same people here. And they said, they'd be happy to have you come stay with them for the event.
Oh,
And so,
that's nice.
yeah, so Aaron scored good. He's
He's happy.
yeah, and yeah, but um, it's it's been a thing going on for a long time, and Aaron has supported it, as much as possible. That banner belongs in a museum. Yeah, yeah, maybe. Next year will be the 10th anniversary of it, so maybe it's time to retire it and have a new one made or something. And I agree.
I'm sure
Somebody,
we can think of something like equally clever, but it's not updated, but um, to
You
put
could
the TKA spin on it.
you could bring it in like a hallowed box, right? And put some stone tablets in there, and like
yeah,
have the Ark of the Covenant, and just like bring that with you.
make like
Be
a whole
beautiful.
display,
Yeah.
and then once a year on Halloween, set it on fire and tell all the Kentucky locals. I'm just joking.
I mean, that's a good way to
Got
get
deep
like
quick, didn't it? uh,
persecuted.
I mean, they let people, they let snakes bite each other and things down here, so nothing really
Oh,
shocking.
right. Is that the snake handlers that do that for church?
Yeah, the Pentecostals.
Pentecostals. Thank
Yeah,
you.
they eat poison and sniff glue and bite it, let snakes bite them, and um, you know, things
I
people
mean,
do.
Things people do.
It's
So
lonely.
Joe, is there? So you have a fundraiser coming up next weekend?
Yeah, next uh is it Saturday? Yeah, next Saturday is the fundraiser for the event.
What
A
time
lot
is
of the
that?
speakers will be there at that. The skeptic, um, Chris Mallard was going to come and kind of host, and I'm just going to hang out. We'll have. I think it'd be easier to tell you the ones that won't be there. Aaron will be at the American Atheist Conference and won't be there, and I don't know if Vastrana will be there for that, but he's probably not coming as a speaker to the event because the Canadian American relations is a mess, to put it lightly, I guess. But yeah, other than that, most everybody will be there.
Okay.
I still have some emails to send out to some people, but I think it's pretty well a go. we'll probably do another one when we get closer to this. Is I've kind of trying to build it up slowly as we go, releasing things a little bit at a time, and so if you start
Okay.
seeing ads and stuff for it, I apologize.
What time is your fundraiser stream next week?
I want to say we're starting at 7. I think that's what time we chose.
Eastern
Yeah,
or Central?
I think we chose 7 Eastern.
Okay.
It's either at 6 or 7. I should have probably known that when I came. That would have been important.
Well, once you do the stream link, I'll try to remember to put it like a link to that in the description below.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, go over there and subscribe and find out.
definitely sub. Definitely sub. We have Fallacious Trump. Oh, that's for okay, never mind. All right. Thank you so much for coming by this week. Definitely a pleasure. Vandy, do you have anything coming up this week?
No.
I don't think I do either. Sometimes that's subject to change on a whim. And sometimes I have a nasty habit of getting bored and then reaching out to other streamers and being like, poke, poke, you should stream because I'm bored. And then it backfires because I forget to tell them that I'm not part of the deal. So that's always fun.
That's what happened.
That's what happened
Entertain
last
me,
Sunday,
Tesla.
yeah.
Entertain me.
No, yeah, this happens a lot. As if Dr. Kip is want to. That was a great stream, though. He had a. So now what I'm trying to do is, and I need all of you guys to help me out. Not this Wednesday, but the following one is Dr. Kip's birthday, right? And so he's going to do a live stream. And what I'm trying to do is goad him into doing a drunk scholarship stream, kind of like drunk history, but drunken scholarship. It would be so much fucking fun. And it's a Wednesday. So
just him?
he's a little, I wouldn't mind if like he went to find another scholar friend. So not this past Saturday, but the one before, he was getting drunk with his good friend Joel Baden and did not stream that because I'm a boomer and I don't understand technology. And I was like, you know what? Okay. You should figure out technology and then do a drunken scholar birthday stream. However, his birthday, he had the audacity to be born on a Wednesday. Holy fucking shit, Kip. Like, why are you doing this to us?
That's not how birthdays work.
So
But yeah,
how does this
fair
differ
enough.
from
Shut up. Nobody asked you, Weasel. Trying to do
They
something here. Look, I am trying to do something. Oh, fuck it. Joe.
Oh no.
Like, nobody can hear you and you're ruining the stream. There's
You
dead
want to milk
air.
what?
There's dead air. Joe, wouldn't
Yes.
you love to see a drunk scholarship stream? Like, wouldn't that just be the
Yes.
bee's knees?
Yes, I would watch that. And I
Yeah.
was just joking.
And I mean, I'm sure hundreds of people in the community would join. Also, Dr. Kip is on the road to 20K. I know that this would just knock him right over the edge there. It would be the best birthday present to himself. And, the rest of us would show up and throw our panties, money, right into the stream for him.
If you watch it, you get to go to heaven.
Exactly.
I figured while we're making just wild claims today, I might as well get one in,
No, yeah. So if you guys come on, help me push for this because it would be fantastic. I know you want it. So yeah, that's what I'm on this week. I'm trying to get a drunk scholarship stream for the whole community because I love you.
I want everybody to see that Dr. Kip really hates.
Oh, I wasn't sure. I thought you were going to say hates Maya. And I was like, whoa.
No, hates the Bible, not hates Maya. Come on. You got to let me land the punchline when you're not confident, Maya.
He hates the Bible so much he had a shirt made. It was awesome. Everybody should go to his merch store and buy it. All right. So I think we're good. Joe, plug yourself one more time.
Go check me out at the Kentucky Atheist on YouTube and all my other social media stuff. My Blue Sky link and all that stuff's on there too. Join me at all those places. I try to put a little bit of stuff, different stuff out everywhere for everyone. So feel free to join us.
All right. Go ahead. What were you saying?
Oh, I was just saying that's all.
Oh, no, I thought I heard Vandy say something. Anyways, yes,
Oh,
that
no.
is all. So next week, everybody, it's 420. We'll see you live for that. Bye.